We've received quite a bit of interest in my Free to Be workshop, so to that effect, beneath this video is a link that will give you a description for the workshop, and we've also included a special discount. So if that's something you would be interested in, I would invite you to click that link, and I hope that you would find the course to be quite beneficial. As you're trying to come to terms with the wisest ways to respond to narcissists, it's so helpful to know where they're coming from and the attitudes and beliefs that they bring in the equation as they try to relate with you. And one of the most common ingredients that goes into the making of narcissism is the attitude of entitlement. These individuals, because they have such a special and unique view of themselves that they believe that they're above most other individuals, they come at you with the attitude that says, when you're in my presence, you owe me. They think of themselves as the most special person in the room, and as a result, there's so many different things that they want from you. For example, they think, you owe me your deference. You need to just look my way and I'll tell you how to do things. Just defer to me. That's what you owe me. Or you owe me blind loyalty. Or you owe me blind obedience. I want you to comply and to agree with what I think and say. Don't ask questions. You owe me that. You owe me your conformity. Just stay inside the grooves as I tell you. We're going to get along just fine. Narcissists believe that they don't just want your adoration, you owe it to them because they think of themselves as being so special. You owe me your adoration, your affirmation. You owe me explanations. Whenever you do some things that I don't like and I demand that you tell me what's going on, you owe it to me to give me the right answer. You owe me public backing. When we're out in public or when we're engaging with other individuals, you need to make me look good. And so this all arises from their sense of insecurity. They're fear-based individuals. They can't stand the thought that other individuals would think of themselves as anything other than a lofty individual. They have the need for control, which arises from this. They have unresolved anger issues. They have inner emptiness. And somehow they just blow right by all of that, and all they can think of is, no, actually none of that applies to me. I am the lofty person, and there are certain things you owe me when you and I are going to engage. And any time you err or you differ from them, which is defined as you're displeasing who they are, then you go into debt with them. And it's like, well, it's my job to make you pay for the debt that you now owe me. And they'll go into all sorts of behaviors that imply you're indebted. For example, they'll go into the shaming form of communication. There's something really defective about you. You're deficient and you owe it to me to correct that so that my life's going to be better. They'll blame you. It's like, well, you've now made my life miserable, so it now becomes your job. You owe it to me to adjust so that I can, again, feel much better about myself. They'll go into anger. It's like, well, I'm going to have to build myself up then at your expense, and you owe it to me to go along with what I tell you when I'm in my anger mode. They can go into stonewalling. It's like, I'll withhold my brilliant information from you or my loyalty to you if you don't do everything that I say. They can go into high defensiveness. It's like, you don't have the right to get any kind of explanation out of me. You owe it to me, but I don't owe that to you. That's how they think. Or they can go into sulking. It's like, I just can't believe it when you don't cater to me. They have this debt collector's mindset that says, I've got to make sure that you pay me whatever it is that you owe me, and whenever you go against me, that means that I have to come after you and get you to rid yourself of those debts as it relates to me. I have a good question that I'm wanting you to ask. What if you decide, I'm not buying into that? These people have this attitude of entitlement. They have this notion that says you owe it to them to allow them to run roughshod over you. What if you decide, I'm not in that person's debt, and I'm not going to go along with that little game that they want to impose onto me. Now, if you were to take that mindset, this would imply multiple responses from the inside of your mind towards them. You don't necessarily have to say these things out loud, but let me run through some things that this would imply if you let go of this debtor's kind of mindset. For example, you might think towards that narcissist, you've made it my job to cater to your enlightenment. But you know what? I don't owe that to you. You insist that I have to rearrange my priorities to suit you. I don't owe that to you either. You tell me I have to justify my thoughts, my feelings, my beliefs, my attitudes. I don't owe that to you. You criticize me and then you expect me to just take it from you. I certainly don't owe that to you. With you presumably feeling superior over me, you then require me to just receive the inferior position that somehow or another I'm indebted to you because of that. I don't owe that to you. When we work on projects together, you require me to filter my plans through you. I don't owe that to you either. I'm willing to be a coordinated person, but I don't owe it to you to lay down my good thinking. When you want me to show ultimate loyalty to you, in your mind, it means that that I'm required to disdain the very people that you disdain. I don't owe that to you. Since you think that you're so correct in your mind and you insist that I'm supposed to lay down my intellect, I'm thinking, I don't owe that to you either. And then as I develop friends or colleagues who think in similar ways as I do, you still want me to look at you as my ultimate go-to person. No, I don't owe that to you. Or if I'm just quiet and then you interpret me as detached, then I'm supposed to somehow or another know that it becomes my job in that moment to stroke your ego. I don't owe that to you. Or when you unload your anger, I'm just supposed to cower and then overlook the bullying attitudes that go along with that. I don't owe that to you. Or when you make lame excuses for your intolerable behaviors and then you probably blame me or someone else for it, I'm supposed to just accept your illogic. No, I don't owe that to you. Now, I do owe it to myself to live with dignity and self-respect intact. I do owe it to myself to stand up for my core values. I owe it to myself to position with people who will honor my decency and civility. I owe it to myself to be a voice of reason. I owe it to myself to remain inside my well-conceived boundaries. Now, these narcissists with that attitude of entitlement, they'll come at you. It's like, oh no, that's not for you to say. You owe me. Don't you remember? I'm the big person in the room here, and everything has to come through me. I mean, and if it weren't for me, you wouldn't even have anybody to tell you what to do and how to think. You ought to be glad that I'm here. But I'm hoping that as you are able to see and to acknowledge the utter illogic and frankly immaturity of this, childlike immaturity of this form of thinking, that you'll decide that's a game that I'm just staying out of. It makes no sense, and it frankly demeans me, and they're trying to elevate themselves at my expense. I don't owe that person the job of having to acquiesce constantly to them. So, when that debt-collecting, entitled narcissist comes in your direction, more or less implying, here's what you owe me, here's what you have to do to make my life better, I'm hoping that you can respond in your mind in reverse to that person. If you're calling on me to collect your debts in that fashion, you got the wrong number. Now, I'm hoping that videos such as this can give you something to think about. I'm hoping you can feel it's strengthened and emboldened as you stand up for who you are. Remember my mantra, Dr. C stands for DRC, stands for dignity, respect and civility. That's something that narcissists can't buy into, but I'm hoping you do. If you haven't already subscribed to our channel, I would encourage you to go beneath and hit that subscribe button. You'll also notice that join button. We have a private membership that's not very expensive that allows you to have access to extras. Laura has a once a week Q&A time. I have a once a week Q&A time. We also have extra videos and interviews that are part of that membership. In addition, it might be that you would be interested in counseling as you try to unpack all of this. If you have a therapist in your area, I would encourage you to seek that person out. If that's not the case, we have a sponsor, and we have a link below that would take you to their website so that you could be connected to an entire team of licensed professional counselors. And if that's the case, then click that link. We also have my courses, my Free to Be. We have a new one coming up soon about establishing boundaries called This Is Me. In addition, we have our webinars and my books, etc. below. The narcissist has that attitude of entitlement. Here's what you owe me. I'm hoping you can see straight through it, and in doing so, you can stay unconnected or disconnected from their mindset of condescension, and you can go in your way knowing that you're a person of decency and dignity, and in doing so, it positions you to be a person of positive influence and hopefully a person who lives inside of peace.